Hello guys, today's video is about my 5 favourite basses. Now this was initially going to be my top 5 basses and basically I'm a coward and really couldn't bear to number any of them in any particular order, so I'm doing it just my top 5 basses in no order because I can and I'm evil, so there. But yeah, I'll just be going through what they are, why I love them in their own individual ways, and showing you how they sound just through the amp dry so you can purely hear what the bass itself sounds like. I'd love to do a jam on all of them, how I normally do jams, but basically the video would be about 3 days long, so I don't think that's really a viable option right now. But yeah, you'll hear the bass just individually as it sounds. If you do want to hear them in a jam properly, I have demoed every single bass that is going to be on this list in some form, so I'll put links for those in the description. A couple of them though, I would like to redo the demo of them because I did them very early on in my channel and I just generally feel like I could do them a bit more justice now I'm more used to being on YouTube. So, without further ado, I don't know, something like that. Without any further notice, here is bass number 1! Ta-da! So, this is the Sire P54. Obviously, it's a P-bass style bass, which I've kind of fallen in love with in the past year. I should also mention as well, before I go any further, I am going to be doing another updated My Bass Collection 2022 edition this year, at the very end of the year. I think it'll come out on New Year's Eve or something like that, unless it's already out when you're watching this. But for now, I just wanted to do my top 5 favourites, and then you'll see the entire collection in its current form. So, Sire P54 in Surf Green. Initially, I would never have thought to put a tortoiseshell scratch plate with Surf Green, but actually I think this looks really amazing and this has converted me. But looks aside, obviously it's a stunning looking bass, but it feels amazing as well, and considering the price of these things, these aren't particularly expensive. I really don't know how Sire have done what they did on this bass for the price that they've done it on. The fretboard has rolled edges, so it's probably one of the most comfortable necks I've ever felt. Roasted maple neck, so it's really, really smooth, and there's no varnish on the back of the neck, but there is on the fretboard, so that is a genius move because I hate when they've got varnish on the back of necks and they get really sticky, so this is kind of the perfect option. It feels amazing to play, it does the P-bass sound really well, it sounds really, really warm, but it's got a kind of really clear edge that not all P-basses have. So it's got a lot of cut, but in a warm kind of a way. Feels amazing to play, sounds amazing, and I just absolutely adore this bass. I'm in love with it, so I want to feature it more on the channel because it deserves to be. But again, link for the full demo of this bass will be in the description. So here we go, I'll just show you it as it sounds. That is why I love the bass, because it sounds amazing and it feels amazing and it's a great price, so well done Sire. So this is the sound of the bass. So now it is time for base number 2. Again, in no particular order. Ta-da! This is what is lovingly been dubbed the C base because of the headstock. It's got my CP logo on there, CC base logo. I absolutely love this base. Originally it was a vintage base, as in the company. This base is nowhere near as old as everyone thinks it is. It looks amazing, but basically you can't buy these as this one looks. What this is Dave got this base and he relicked it himself. It was originally relicked, but he kind of upgraded the relic, you could say, and made it look really convincing and really, really cool, and he based it off of an image of another base. So somewhere out there's a base that actually looks like this. But I absolutely love this base, and Dave very kindly gave it to me. I gave Dave my base 6 and he gave me this base, so it's very, very special to me for that reason. But also, again, I love P bases. I promise not every base on this list is going to be a P base, but aside from the fact this base feels really nice to play, it also sounds really nice. It's probably the warmest base I've got, like, in terms of sound. It's got an almost muffled sound, but not to any kind of detriment to the sound of it. No matter what strings you put on it, it's just an extremely warm sounding bass, which I really like because it does that kind of very vintagey, as in actual vintage, not the company, does that very vintage P bass sound perfectly. So if you ever need anything that sounds properly old school, this is the bass to go to. So again, very, very special bass to me. Even the strap is kind of relic, but actually that's all natural wear. So I just really love this bass. Oh, I also changed the knobs on it as well, because it actually weirdly complements it better than what was on it. So yeah, here is what the bass sounds like, and then we'll be on to bass number 3. So on to bass number 4. This is the Anaconda Crusher CXE4. This was actually custom built, so everything on this bass is all to my spec. And that is not something that I ever thought would happen in a million years, so I'm extremely lucky to own this bass. It's the first and only custom bass I own, and even if it is the only one I ever own, I am more than happy with this bass. It's absolutely amazing. Anaconda basses are very dear to me anyway. I love the company, and I think Andrew, the man who builds them, just puts so much care into these basses. Sorry, there's fluff on the carpet. And the fact it's handmade, I don't know if any of you kind of are gonna know what I mean. I'm sure some of you out there will know exactly what I'm on about when I say this, but there's something that feels different about handmade basses. Like, they feel looser, and I don't know if it's because, like, there's bound to be a human element in these basses that gives them slight imperfections that just make them feel really, really nice. Like, it's not a bad thing. I mean, as far as basses go, this is perfectly built, but there are always going to be some kind of margin for differences in every one because they're all handmade. and I think that really kind of gives it a special character of its own. Obviously, factory-made basses can have such a massive character and presence, but there's just a really specific type when it comes to handmade basses, and I just absolutely love the feel of this bass. Obviously, I love the look of it because it was made how I asked for it to be made. So, yeah, absolutely love this bass. It feels amazing to play. It's probably the loosest and slinkiest bass out there that I own. So, like, that is just ridiculous. Should not be able to do that on a bass. But yeah, not very musical, but practical purpose there, just showing you what it can do. I love the sound of it. It's an incredibly diverse sounding bass. Obviously, there's a lot of different switches on there. I have done a proper demo of this where I go through every single spec and lots of different sounds and do a jam on it, but that was very early on in my channel, so I would really like to cover this bass properly again to really kind of do it justice now I've got to grips with what I'm doing on the channel. But yeah, it's got a black American walnut top, swamp ash body, even the cover is kind of wood effect as well. It's active, but you can put it in passive mode because it's coil tapped. These change the pickup so you can have them in series or single coil, etc. Headstock obviously looks amazing. My favourite kinds of headstocks are where they are on either side of it, because I've not got particularly the longest arms, I'm not the biggest person, so when they're all in a line, I kind of find myself like reaching for the very end tuning peg, but when they're side by side I actually prefer that. So again, another thing that I really like. The inlays are loom inlay, so they glow in the dark as well. It's just an amazing bass, and I would highly recommend checking out Anaconda basses and getting in touch with Andrew Taylor Cummings, because he is such a lovely guy and puts so much care and time into what he builds. So yeah, here is just a snippet of what this bass can do. Again, I'll go more in depth with this bass because there's so many different sounds out of it. I can't cover it all in this video, but here is to an extent what this bass can do. So here we go. So, on to bass number 4. I'm curious to know if any of you are guessing what I'm holding right now. Yep, this is the Ibanez Soundgear SR700. Absolutely ridiculous bass. I got this from Cash Converters about 7 or 8 years ago, And this has literally been my main gigging bass for the past 7 years. And I have bonded a ridiculous amount with this bass. I was incredibly lucky to get it. And one, it looks absolutely stunning. All of these basses of the 700 series look different because this bass, I would class it as red, but it's actually called charcoal brown. And a lot of the basses of this exact model in this colour look more brown. They look beautiful, but they don't look like this bass. So there seems to be like a bit of a fluke whether you get a more red coloured one or a more browny coloured one. Again, I wouldn't complain at either, but the red ones seem to be a bit less common. So again, to get this, obviously I love the colour red, was just kind of a match made in heaven. And yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's ridiculously light. I love sound gears in general because they're really petite, like me. So they're really, really easy to get around. They're incredibly easy to play. 24 frets. I love having 24 frets. The neck is probably the most comfortable neck ever. I have no idea how they did it, but I learned on a cheaper model of the sound gears, and that was probably the best possible starting point I could have had, because the necks on them are just, they're really thin. I don't know how well you can see, but not to the point of being uncomfortable or hard to play. They're just the perfect shape. Again, no gloss on the neck. It's not sticky or anything like that. It's absolutely beautiful wood. There's a lot of distinguishing marks on this one as well. Yeah, I love the sound of it. It's, again, a very, very diverse bass, so I won't be able to show every single thing it can do because it basically can do everything. But again, incredibly slinky to play, not quite as loose as the Anaconda, but certainly not far off. Just absolutely amazing. I did a video on this called Meet My Best Friend, and that was basically the demo of this bass, but I'd really like to cover it again in a bit more detail. Again, it was very early on in my channel, but it is not hard to see why this bass is basically my best friend. The pickups have been absolutely gouged out just from how hard I play and the amount of play wear that I've put onto it. The back of it, again, because I gigged it for 7 years straight, and in a lot of metal bands I was wearing belts with studs and stuff, so all the back of this bass is just scuffed, almost kind of down to the wood. I'm sure the wood is a lot further away than it looks, but it doesn't look far off at this point, which is saying something because the lacquer on these is incredibly thick, so I've just played and played and played this thing for the majority of the time I've been playing bass, so I'm very, very fond of this bass. I have so many memories with it, I've done so many things with it, and I just love it, and I love the sound of it, and I love the feel of it. It's like home. So here we go, here is what it sounds like. I will now teleport bass number 5, or 1 if you've been counting down, into my hands. Yep, I'm sure a lot of you probably guessed that this bass would be on the list. This is the Schecter P5 Exotic. One of the most stunning basses I have ever seen in my life. It just makes me go weak at the knees. Oh my god, I can't. I'm looking at it in the camera and I'm like, oh, it makes me go all funny, this bass. I love it. Even the scratch plate, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but that's got like a brushed metal effect. It is actually plastic, but it looks like metal. Where do I even start with this bass? again, this bass I got more recently. I only got it a little bit earlier in this year, but this has also become my best friend. And literally, as soon as I picked this bass up, I saw it in the shop. I saw it in Anderton's, and I kind of thought, oh, I really like the look of that. And I expected to kind of pick it up and have a little bit of a noodle on it and then put it down. But it was one of those things where I picked it up, went, oh, and just instantly fell in love with it. Like, beyond anything. It was like the bass literally went zoom, and there was just that massive connection. And I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of you have probably experienced that. I'm not 100% sure the best way to describe it, but it is like you've known that instrument your whole life and you've just finally connected again. And it is a really, really amazing feeling. But another reason I love this bass as well is, there are so many reasons, but it feels like a really confident bass. As soon as you pick it up, it's like the bass goes, yeah, I know what I'm doing, I've got you, whatever you want to do, do it. And not every bass has that. They can be absolutely lovely, but something about this bass is extremely confident in the best way possible. It's just incredible. I can't quite explain it to you, but again, I've done a full in-depth demo of this one, which I'll put a link for in the description. I'm quite happy with the demo I did on this one, so apparently quite a few people ended up buying ones because of that demo, which was really cool, because apparently beforehand no one had really been phoning up about them, and then suddenly they did. So it's really cool that people actually enjoyed the demo and I managed to do it some kind of justice, because this bass wholeheartedly deserves to be done the best justice possible. And I think I've got the only demo of this bass on all of YouTube, which is kind of hilarious and surprising. So yeah, no wonder people kind of saw my video on it, because there aren't any others, but hopefully it's a good video. So absolutely adore this bass. Sound wise, this is probably the clearest bass I've ever heard in my life. It's got all the warmth, all of the cut, just every single frequency is present. It's got EMG pickups, which I have not tried until now. This is my first experience with them, and wow, I am seriously impressed. These are my favourite pickups ever. So I've literally never heard a bass and a set of pickups sound so clear, but yet so full of life and so nice. But yeah, controls wise, this is an active bass, so these aren't tone controls. They're actually, you've got treble, bass, and then obviously volume control. The top is zebra wood, and the back, I believe, is ash, if I'm remembering correctly, but I say it all in the actual demo video. But yeah, roasted maple neck, absolutely gorgeous. It just sounds incredible, and no matter what situation I put this bass into, you can hear it perfectly, and it just suits. So it just does everything, and I've just absolutely fallen in love with this bass. And at the moment, this is, and has been since I got it, my main geeing bass. So it's clear to see that I just absolutely adore this bass. So here it is just on its own, but if you want to hear it in a jam, there is a video going totally in depth with this bass, and I would love for you to hear it, because it deserves all the justice in the world. So well done, Schecter, for an incredible bass. So those are my top 5 bases, or 5 of my favourite bases in no particular order. Another reason I didn't want to order them is because they all do totally different things and they're all amazing in their own ways, so it's kind of a lot of the reasons I like them. There aren't ways to kind of stack one thing above the other, like amazingly clear, amazing neck, amazingly slinky. One isn't better than the other, so they all do different things and they're all worth having in your collection because you can call on them for different jobs. So again, I don't like the thought of having just one base for everything because one, it can go wrong and then you've got to replace the base and you're screwed until you can get another base. But two, yes, it's great when one base can do a lot of different things, but some bases do one specific thing in the most amazing, incredible way, and they really shine when you do that thing with them. So I just love having the option to kind of let certain bases shine. And also they make me play differently. I probably don't play in the same way on any single one of these bases. So I just love how they bring out different things. Every base has some kind of music to bring to you and something to give to you, and when you connect with them it's just the most amazing feeling. So again, I can't put one above the other because they all have brought me so many different things and they've given me so much joy in their own ways. So yeah, another reason I didn't want to kind of stack them in an order. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video and it's been somewhat interesting. Again, I'll be doing my base collection 2022 coming out on New Year's Eve, I think, or around then, where you'll see my entire base collection of this year. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. I do have a link in the description if you'd like to support the channel for a Patreon and also my Bandcamp, but no pressure. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very, very much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.